growth of new entrants. How are they disrupting traditional financial services? Quick outlook for the session. We have 1 hour. We're gonna start with a short theme setting by our special guest, who I will introduce in a second. And then we have a couple of colleagues who are really some of these new entrants or disruptors in traditional markets. They will be joining our special guest here on stage, and of course we have an excellent moderator for the session. So like all the times when we have panels, approximately half an hour, a kind of interview or questions to our panelists, and then please ask many questions via the app, and the most popular we try to address. And then we go fluently in the final session, the way forward and a quick wrap up. Okay, so that's ahead of us. And by 5:15, we want to be finished. So finishing on time. We know that especially the colleagues from Manila are usually very eager to enter EDSA on time. I didn't do it yesterday. I moved maybe 1 kilometer in 1 hour. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I would like to introduce you to our theme setter. He's actually the chairman of the Indonesia Financial Services Authority. They call it probably in Indonesia because they like acronyms OJK, or Otoritas Jasa Keuangan. So it's a government institution that performs regulatory and supervisory duties over financial services activities in banking, capital markets, and non-banking financial industry sectors in Indonesia. He brings 30 years of experience. He worked for in different important positions in the banking system of Indonesia, especially the central bank, as well as he was an executive director at the IMF. So please give a warm welcome to Pak Wimbo Santoso. Silakan.
Very good afternoon, everybody. Yeah. Thank you, Josh, for brief introduction. Then, actually, that is my pleasure to be invited, being delivering keynote in the first time here. Yeah. Then, actually, that also, I believe a lot of audience here coming from different background. So I would like just very quick, because I have only 5 minutes, isn't it? Sharp 5 minutes, yeah. Then, yeah. First, I would like to give you background Indonesia. OJK, nice explanation, is super regulator, but Indonesia is huge country with 17,000 islands. You can imagine. With different language, different ethnic, different, sometimes, the people is different posture. Then actually the population is 262 million people, yeah. Then actually we rich of resources, yeah. We have, of course, island country, a lot of fish. Anywhere you can eat fish in Indonesia, yeah. Then a lot of nice places as like Borobudur, Bali, and then we plan to have 10 kind of Bali in Indonesia. You can imagine. Then government develop infrastructure aggressively. So the toll road, seaport, airport, anything. Yeah. Those things is actually how the government can deliver the services for the people, so elevate the prosperity of the people, and then reduce the poverty, employ people, and so on. That is the basic Indonesia. Then actually we got a few constraints initially. How to get to the island is difficult. We have to travel, sometimes, the transportation, even though we have an island where the motto is we can make people fly. But sometimes it's too expensive just to deliver some product to them. Yeah. Then actually the access is difficult. So, but with the technology, now we can go there, very easy. Majority people in the village, they have gadgets. And then thanks government, they provide quite, useful coverage. You can imagine 5G will be in Indonesia very soon. Yeah, then cover all the island, even the West Papua is my priority as well. Yeah, to go there to access using technology. So actually with this technology, our motto is very clear. Why we restrict them? No, we are not going to impose restriction for the technology product in Indonesia. Very clear. We are not going to. Even how to optimize the presence of technology for the people in any way. So, and then of course, our legal and the law sometimes give me constraint really to let them get through. No, just do it, and then if somebody, really, whatever they, unable to really to understand, it's just let us know. But do it, and then we discuss. So that why we provide very, very, easy access for the people to sell anything using technology. No wonder that now people in Indonesia, with the bank for the financial sector, open 20 hours with technology. They can transfer anytime they want. Used to be restricted to transfer money 8 o'clock until 4 o'clock. Afterward, bank closed. And then people queuing to come to the bank office. No more now. The people can do it, transfer anytime they want. 1 o'clock a.m. or 11 o'clock p.m. or probably waking up doing transfer. They can do it. Yeah. So actually, that's actually, provide a lot of value for the people. And then, it used to be people very difficult to access to lending. Now it's very easy. Then transportation. Now the transportation is cheap in Indonesia. Why? Because it used to be monopolized by taxi company. But now using technology, we can just, whatever using application, we can get a taxi anytime. Then even we let the normal taxi company, they provide similar if they want. No, we are not going to restrict this kind of the product, technology product for the transportation. We're changing not only financial sector, transportation, shopping center, restaurant. If you are a bit hungry in the middle of night, grab up your mobile phone and then you can order anything you want. So that is, but of course, it is very efficient, a lot of people get benefit, then but of course there is some distortion. We have mindful about this. But the articulation is very clear, the optimize the benefit first, and then we manage the potential risk. First about the shopping center, because it is very cheap now. Because without any distribution channel, producer and then customer. Then of course delivery is direct. No any middleman who will be a broker on this. So that way very cheap. In terms of the banking services, it's clear. We don't need transportation cost to go to the bank office, and we save our time. So anything that technology product is really provide benefit for everybody. So no wonder that in Indonesia is a paradise, because government provide the ecosystem on this. Then actually, in terms of the provide the inclusion of the people, no wonder. I think even now we ask our junior high school kids to have bank account, electronic bank account. You can be massive. And then we told to the bank, look, it is your future customer after 5 years. your future customer will be your borrower after 10 years. Probably will be your competitor after 20 years. So why don't you just start from the beginning, provide access to the kid, to the financial sector. And then finally, OJK has a role to educate the people. And then finally, we can, high school, we can get education more, a bit complicated, and then capital market and so on. So I believe, so that why it is growing quickly in Indonesia, about the technology product. Then I think the point is we provide benefit for the people. Then of course we can talk in more detail later on, about how our strategy to manage about the customer protection, and then to mitigate about the distortion about the incumbent, and then also about how to talk about the data individual protection, cyber security, anti-money laundering, and so on. So will be a lot of things that we have to prepare. So then actually this event will be useful for us to have a dialogue, and then from different point of view, authority, practitioner, businessman, and also probably professor. So actually we can come together to have synergy how to sort it out to minimize the distortion. That's all. Thank you very much. Hopefully useful for everybody. Thank you.
Terima kasih. Silakan duduk, Pak. So, and I also have the pleasure now to call on our other panelists, including our moderator. Let me start with Maria Gaetanidu. She's the head of compliance at coins.ph, and I think we will hear more about what this startup is doing or company is doing. Please give a hand to Maria. Then I want to introduce you to the Vice President and Chief Product Officer of one of the leading financial platform service providers in Korea. Please welcome Seung-Yo Lee. And then one organization I think most people here in the Philippines especially, but in ASEAN people are familiar with, and sometimes it's life-saving here, Head of Growth, Business Development Strategy of Grab, Rajiv Chandra. And last but not least, our moderator for that session. She's the director of the Private Sector Financial Institution Division here at the Asian Development Bank, and she brings a lot of experience not only from the ADB, but also from the private sector. She was with Fannie Mae in Washington, D.C. Please welcome our moderator, Christine Engstrom.
Thanks very much. So let's just start off right now in terms of giving our private sector companies here about 4 to 5 minutes to talk about their business model, how they are approaching underserved and unserved segments, what are the market gaps that they're filling, and then we'll take it from there. So why don't we start with Ed?
Okay. Hello everyone. My name is Ed, and then I'm from KakaoPay, and then it's very honored to be here with this great panelists. And then representing KakaoPay as well as Korea. As for KakaoPay, financial inclusion was actually the essence of the company when it initially began its journey in 2014. If you know Korea, Korea is one of the most advanced country in terms of the mobile penetration, internet penetration, and so on. But then even in 2014, which is about only 5 years ago, it was extremely difficult for consumers to make payments online. It was due to the safety regulation in Korea enforced by Korean government to safeguard the consumers. But then at the same time, it was extremely horribly difficult for consumers to make payments. And then KakaoPay, which is an embedded service within KakaoTalk, which is de facto message service in Korea used by literally every population in Korea. So we wanted to lower the hurdle, enabling users to make easy payments online without having to go through hassles making payments online. So that's how we began our journey in 2014. And then coming to 2016, we started another initiative to lower the hurdle in terms of the P2P money transfer. It was the same story again. So government wanted to protect the consumers, so they put in safety measures in place, which pretty much prevented half of the user base not able to make easy transactions online because the safety program wasn't running on macOS. So it was only available on Windows PC, and then it had to go through multiple hoops. So again, it's the same story. It was very difficult for consumers. So that's why Kakao Pay initiated the P2P money transfer service in 2017, allowing users to send money to their friends in the Messenger contact list or directly to the bank account with just a simple password. This story continues as we expand our service portfolio. Last year, we started the investment services. And then when we were talking about these investment services, the discussion was about the minimum investment size, which was initially around like 100 USD. And then if you think about like stock trading or the fund management and so on, $100 isn't that much. But then our aim was not to just provide same investment services, but then rather we wanted to make it available for everyone in Korea. So that's why we worked hard with our partners to lower the minimum investment size to be around like $10, so that instead of going to Starbucks, you could just try out these investment services embedded in your Messenger app they use every day. And then when you see that small seed, that $10 seed growing in your account, you see the value of investment, right? And then you get the confidence to invest more and then build healthy financial services or the financial stability and the portfolio. So with this kind of financial inclusion, we are not talking about the society-driven exclusion where Kakao Pay wasn't trying to serve the underbanked or unbanked, because that's actually not a problem existing in Korea because the infrastructure is very good. So what we wanted to focus on was the accessibility, how easy it is for everyone to access certain segments of the financial spectrum. So we attacked the payments and the P2P money transfer, investments and insurance and so on. So that's the approach that we are taking. And then we realized early in days where in order to be truly exclusive, inclusive of everyone in Korea, we also had to worry about people who are visually challenged, right? So as we go into this mobile space, we sometimes neglect the people who may not be able to use mobile phone as easily as most people out there. So whenever we launch a new service, we try our best to bring as much accessibility feature as possible so that visually impaired people or challenged people can get the same benefits or same convenience that most of us can also enjoy. So that's the story that we are taking. And then we are also trying to see if we can expand our mobile convenience, mobile technology benefits, not only to adults, but then also to minors, right? As we are moving over to cashless society and the walletless society, adults can now only carry mobile phone, right? And then just use the Apple Pay, Samsung Pay, Kakao Pay to make payments. But then for kids who get out of the school, who are hungry, they also have to carry cash all the time because most of these services are not available for the underage. So what we are trying to do is trying to expand the spectrum of the audience so that not only the adults, but then also the minors can get the benefits of the mobile innovations that we are making these days.
Good, thank you, very interesting. Rajiv, would you like to share with us Grab's story?
Yeah, so maybe just by way of reintroduction, I'm Rajiv and I look after growth and business development for... So maybe I'll just repeat, thank you. So my name is Rajiv. I look at growth business development for Grab Financial Group. So not for the mobility side of Grab as a company. And the financial services, so Grab as a company obviously started in Malaysia 7 years ago. The focus was about security and mobility. How do we, one of our co-founders, Hui Ling, used to work for a consulting firm, used to go late nights at home, and always had this worry from her parents, is she getting home safely? And there was the notion of how do we bring security in a ride-hailing environment, which is where the whole company started in Malaysia. The financial group has a much more of an accidental start for the company. It started by looking at the fact that, our competitive advantage versus other competitors, well, we were paying our drivers faster than our competitors. But there was a set of drivers we weren't able to pay the next day. And the reason for that was they didn't have a bank account. So over our operations over the last 7 years, we've opened over 1 million bank accounts for Grab drivers across Southeast Asia. And that was just a thing that we had to do because we had to succeed. We had to differentiate in services to our drivers. We also found that as you would imagine in Southeast Asia outside of Singapore, the card penetration is quite low. In particular, credit card penetration is quite low. So people are reluctant to leave debit cards on a technology platform for ride-hailing purposes. So we had a lot of people interacting with us on a cash basis, and that exposed our consumers and our drivers to a massive amount of risk, but also that there was a reluctance to transact on the platform. So we found that by having a wallet attached to our ride-hailing platform, consumers found it easier to order more. So for example, for the food service that we offer, we find that our consumers stick for longer, they order bigger basket sizes. And then it was a question of how do we solve for liquidity into the wallet. So in Indonesia, for example, we work with OVO and we have something what we call top-of-wire driver. So you jump into a taxi, your car ride is 150,000 rupiah, you give 200,000 to the driver puts 50,000 into your wallet. The driver's happy, he's got some access to cash. You're happy, you've got 50,000 rupiah into your wallet that you can then transact. Of course, Grab's happy because the entire ecosystem is working on a cashless basis and it just becomes smoother. So it was more, and we started to see there was material traction in the financial services products that we were developing, almost accidentally, almost being led by the nose by our customers. And so with that in mind, always starting with our drivers, the millions of drivers and agents that work within the Grab platform, over 9 million of them across Southeast Asia. So we've now launched a product called critical illness insurance. So if you're a Grab driver, you jump into the car, and then exactly as you were describing, you decide on a per trip, per day, per week, per month basis that you want to take 10 cents from that ride and contribute that towards buying a micro-insurance for yourself. And micro-insurance that covers critical illnesses such as cancer. This is not something that an average Grab driver would consider buying, because they'd have to pay $2,000 up front to be able to buy that. But as soon as you make that micro, you say, it's your choice. You pay 10 cents. Every 10 cents that you put in, you get $200 of cover. If you don't contribute the next 10 cents, doesn't matter. That $200 is yours for the next 1 year from an insurance cover standpoint. Most drivers actually have stuck on with the program and over a period of 2 to 3 months accumulated $200,000 of cover, which is the maximum that you can get for cancer insurance. Now we are enabling them to bring their families on board. And this is taken just, like I said, being led by the nose, by feeling our way around what our customers really want. And always starting with our drivers because they are so fundamental to our ecosystem, but also they are fundamentally our inclusion story. I'd love to share more about that today as part of this panel. Thank you very much for having me.
No, thank you so much. Maria, can you tell us what Coin is doing here in the Philippines? I know you have a very interesting business model.
Good afternoon. So CoinSpeech is a startup that started from the Philippines in 2014-2015. So as I said, our business model is slightly different. So we started heavily focusing a lot more on what are the benefits of blockchain and virtual currency. How can we use this to facilitate transactions in a seamless and a faster and cheaper way? So originally when we started, we focused heavily on how to make it easier for people to make transactions in a cheaper and faster way. So our founding team, they started realizing that financial services shouldn't be as difficult as it was, requiring face-to-face and complicated KYC processes. Instead, the onboarding process would be as easy as opening a Facebook account. And that didn't mean undermining what the regulatory requirements, but just making it easier through UX and product changes. So as we started growing a lot more, we started adding services such as bills payment, remittances, money transfers through blockchain and fiat. We are regulated financial infrastructure in the big urban areas, but then they forget about the rest of the islands in the Philippines. So we have customers who've never